Once again, a very warm welcome. We begin with the summit of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, or FOCAC, in Beijing. Chinese President Xi Jinping addressed the opening ceremony. He called for building an all-weather China-Africa community with a shared future in the new era. The summit has brought together leaders from more than 50 African countries for discussions on development and cooperation. A declaration on jointly building an all-weather China-Africa community with a shared future for the new era and an action plan for FOCAC for the next 3 years were adopted at the summit. Sin Sijuan has the highlights of the opening ceremony at the Great Hall of the People.
More than 3,000 leaders, officials, and business representatives from China and Africa gathered at the Great Hall of the People on Thursday morning for the opening ceremony of the 2024 Summit on FOCAC.
In this season of harvest, I am delighted to gather together with so many old and new friends in Beijing to discuss grand plans for China-Africa friendship and cooperation in the new era.
Chinese President Xi Jinping said, after nearly 70 years of hard work, China-Africa relations are at their best in history.
Thanks to nearly 70 years of tireless efforts from both sides, the China-Africa relationship is now at its best in history. With its future growth in mind, I propose that bilateral relations between China and all African countries having diplomatic ties with China be elevated to the level of strategic relations. And that the overall characterization of China-Africa relations be elevated to an all-weather China-Africa community with a shared future for the new era.
China has been Africa's largest trading partner for 15 consecutive years, and Africa is also China's second-largest overseas contracting projects market. President Xi said the trust and friendship will be sustained with more cooperation.
China and Africa account for 1/3 of the world population. Without our modernization, there will be no global modernization. In the next 3 years, China will work with Africa to take the following 10 partnership actions for modernization, to deepen China-Africa cooperation and spearhead the Global South modernization. First, the partnership action for mutual learning among civilizations. Second, the partnership action for trade prosperity. Third, the partnership action for industrial chain cooperation. Fourth, the partnership action for connectivity. Fifth, the partnership action for development cooperation. Sixth, the partnership action for health. Seventh, the partnership action for agriculture and livelihoods. Eighth, the partnership action for people-to-people exchanges. Ninth, the partnership action for green development. 10th, the partnership action for common security.
President Xi said the dream of modernization pursued by China and Africa will surely set off a wave of modernization in the Global South.
China and Africa's joint pursuit of modernization will set off a wave of modernization in the Global South and open a new chapter in our drive for a community with a shared future for mankind. We should jointly advance modernization that is just and equitable. We should jointly advance modernization that is open and win-win. We should jointly advance modernization that puts the people first. We should jointly advance modernization featuring diversity and inclusiveness. We should jointly advance modernization that is eco-friendly. We should jointly advance modernization underpinned by peace and security.
The theme of this year's summit is joining hands to advance modernization and build a high-level China-Africa community with a shared future. Officials say this signifies China's and Africa's vision and ambition to traverse the path towards modernization. Chen Ziyuan, CGTN, Beijing.
Well, let's discuss this further. Ikenna Emewu, China-Africa expert and editor-in-chief of the Africa-China Economy magazine, based in Lagos, Nigeria, is joining us for an in-depth analysis on FOCAC and President Xi's opening remarks. Ikenna, welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us here on Africa Live. Let's begin. Chinese President Xi Jinping has called for building a China-Africa community with a shared future in the new era. What are your thoughts on this, and how important is it to Africa?
Thank you so much. First of all, I have to congratulate the FOCAC, congratulate President Xi Jinping for hosting the entire African leadership these 4 days. It's been a whirlwind of diplomacy at the topmost level between Africa and China. What I have learned from President Xi's address is FOCAC in the new era. Then the second catchword is shared future. 24 years is more than an era. What the world was 24 years ago isn't what it is today. There's been advancements in tech, in connectivity, in human resource development, in infrastructure advancement, and in so many other ways. So it is good news to hear that President Xi Jinping drives FOCAC to grow at the same momentum with the rest of the growth of the world in all facets. So it's nice to hear that FOCAC goes to the next level, especially the level of shared humanity, shared future, and some other ways of making the relationship better. I take another point from the address he delivered, that the entirety of China-Africa diplomacy has been elevated to strategic partnership across the 52 or 53 countries of Africa that are partners of FOCAC, including the African Union. So it's a great advancement that he makes FOCAC grow in tandem with the entire world that is moving so fast into a unification, into stronger ties, and into a more grounded way of doing things and facing the world and relating with each other.